The most challenging thing after my dad passed away is not dealing with grief and loss. It's actually cleaning his possession. It's so overwhelming that I have to take a break from my work to focus solely on cleaning his belongings. I'm unfortunate because I live with my parents, so I don't have a deadline to clean the house and prepare it for estate sale. I could only imagine how tough it is for someone who is still dealing with grief, have a full-time job, and has to handle this stuff within a certain period. So in this video, I'm going to share 5 things I learned from my experience and help you find ease in the decluttering process. And also give you some spiritual insight on acquiring stuff and energy. But first, I want to give special mention to Marie Kondo's Konmari method and the Swedish Death Cleaning. Both of them helped me with tidying out my dad's personal belongings. And if you are interested, my affiliate links to their books can be found in the video description below. So number 1, start with clothes and end with sentimental items. This order is suggested in the Konmari method. When you're dealing with grief, you want to start with something simple first, like clothes, books, and paper. These things have less emotional charge as compared to sentimental items like photographs. And it's easier to figure out what to do with this item as compared to things that only your deceased loved ones know the value of. Clothes are very specific to the person in terms of size and taste. You want to keep a few that your loved one often wear as memento. And if there are a couple of clothes that fits you, you might consider wearing them. But for most of the clothes, you can just donate, sell away, dispose of, or recycle. The headaches comes in when you're carrying things that have to do with your loved one's hobbies. For example, my dad has a hobby of collecting electronic parts. A lot of times, I pick up something and I don't know what it is and what is it for. I have to research and figure out what they are, and this takes time. So clearing the easier items first is better. You'll see progress and you're more likely to continue with the process. And when you become more emotionally stable, it will be easier to tidy out the stuff that is more personal and sentimental. Tidying up the old photos was one of the last things I did. I did it with my mom, and I asked her things like, where did dad take you to honeymoon? What do y'all do? And who is this person? Who is that person? And it was fun because we weren't feeling as emotionally charged as before. Number 2, there are only a few things that really matters. I love Marie Kondo's method because it's about tidying up in a way that sparks joy in your life. After tidying my dad's closet, I realized he has a lot of clothes, but there are only a few clothes that he wears. There are a few duplications, same design but different colors, and some of them are still in their plastic packaging. I think most of us go through this phase of acquiring things. We bought things we don't need and we don't use. We have this belief that buying more stuff will make us happy, but what we don't realize is that it's not the stuff that makes us happy. It's the freedom that we can buy whatever we want that makes us happy. It's the freedom that we desire, not the stuff. So what happened is, we buy a lot of things, but they are of no value and significant to us, and we chuck them aside and ignore them. And when it's time to declutter, we refuse to discard them. In our mind, we are thinking, we use so much money to buy this thing. If we just throw them away, aren't we just wasting money? Aren't we just throwing away money? So we keep things to be used for someday later, but that day never comes. Just like what my father did. Even if he was alive for another 10 years, he would still not wear those clothes in the plastic packaging because what he truly loved, he was already wearing. The rest are just excess things we keep just in case of emergency. We hold on to things out of fear, but we don't keep things out of joy. Hoarding stuff makes us feel safe, but it doesn't make us feel happy. Feeling safe and feeling joy are two different vibrations. So when I see items that my dad had just chucked aside, it's easy for me. I know it's of no value to him and I could just dispose of it. But what's important to your deceased loved one doesn't mean it will be important to you. We assume that when we throw things that are of significance to the deceased loved one, it's a dishonor to them. But when I tune in to my dad's energy as I was clearing his stuff, what I received is that all these items are of no significance to him. This thing that was previously held because of fear, and now that he has re-emerged into the non-physical, there is no fear, and he doesn't need any of this physical stuff anymore. So when you go through your loved one's belonging, you want to pay more attention to what you want. You want to ask yourself, does this item spark joy for you? Does it have a purpose for you? And do you see this thing as part of your ideal life or future vision? If yes, Marie Kondo always says to keep them with confidence. It's not about how many things you keep, it's about whether it sparks joy and matters to you. You don't want to keep belonging of your deceased loved one because you're afraid that you'll forget them. You want to keep things that remind you of your loved one in a positive light. For me, before I even start cleaning, I know I value photographs. The rest of the things aren't really that important to me. It doesn't matter if I throw or keep them. Other family members have different things they value, so it's always good to consult them and find out what sparks joy for them. Number 3, your home and object have energy too. When I watch Marie Kondo's TV series on Netflix, one thing that resonates with me the most is when she kneeled down and greeted the home. I don't know why this ritual touches my heart very deeply. I can't really explain it, but when I was tidying up my home, I got what she meant. I do feel the energy of the objects. In my family, I was the most committed in tidying up my dad's possession. My brother thought it's a way of processing grief, but it's not that. I'm just sensitive to energy, and I feel the house is calling me to give it a makeover. It wants to reset its energy and wants to be given a new life. When my dad was around, the things serve a purpose. There's someone giving attention to the items, and these items feel alive and vibrant. But when he's gone, no one cares about these items anymore, and I feel a shift in the house. Those things that used to feel vibrant started to become dull. Like things started to spoil or didn't work anymore. I feel this the most in clothes. The texture and energy feels different from the clothes that we are wearing. I kind of want to set this item free and give them a new life. Be it recycle them or donate them and give them to the new owner. I want to let them serve new purposes. Things lose their purpose when you don't give them any attention and they start breaking down. What you don't want to do is to keep your deceased loved one possession and then chuck them aside. It's just not very good energy for your home. Instead, you want to give them a new purpose. Number 4, take your time with the process. It can be overwhelming when you're faced with a large number of things that you have no idea about. Sometimes you don't know what to do with something. Then later in the tidying process, the purpose becomes clear to you. For example, when I was cleaning, there was a lot of these round batteries. I didn't know what they were for. Then recently, the time on my computer is always off. So I did some research and realized that these batteries are for computers so that they keep the time even when you shut off the computers. Then there were the extra monitors. I just chucked them aside as I was cleaning. I don't know what to do with them. Then all of a sudden, my monitor spoiled. And hey, I have a purpose for this monitor now. There is also no clear checkpoint that tells you that you have completed. You might have to revisit the possession time and time again and see if they will still spark joy or serve a purpose. Like for me, I would say I'm about 80% done. There's still some nitty-gritty things that I could do, but it has reached a stable point that doesn't affect the flow of energy in the home. So I could leave this thing for later and shift my focus back to my work. And maybe revisit them once a week or once a month or when there was an impulse to do something. It definitely took me much longer than I expected, and it really tests my decision-making skill. I took it as a practice to consult my intuition, and I learned to become more decisive and patient with my vision. Just focus on a little portion of the day and don't feel frustrated with the slow process. It's okay that it takes a long time. What's more important is that you feel a shift in yourself and you feel an expansion and growth as you tidy out the stuff that your loved one left. Number 5, consider death cleaning. I'm quite organized and I don't keep a lot of things, but after cleaning my dad's belonging for months, I realized how important it is to look through all the stuff again and declutter my own personal belongings from a perspective of death. There is something called the Swedish Death Cleaning. Basically, it's about removing unnecessary things in your home so that loved ones don't feel the burden of cleaning up your stuff after you die. When I die, I don't want my family members to waste too much time and effort cleaning out the mess that I left. I want them to use their time to do things that they truly enjoy. So nowadays when I tidy up my personal belonging, I only want to keep things that spark joy and are truly of value to me now. And if I want to leave something for my family, I want to leave things that are of value to them and of relevance to them, and not something that might be a burden to them. You know, when you have space in your house, it's easy to put things aside, hide things, and not think about them again. But eventually, someone will have to deal with the mess. If it's not you, it will be your family members. It's the same when it comes to cleaning a deceased loved one belonging. When I was tidying up, I have this mindset that if I don't do it now, even if I leave everything as status quo, someone eventually will have to do the work. Preparing for death shouldn't be something that is morbid and not talked about. It should be a gift for your loved one when you are gone. One last thing that I want to briefly mention is clearing a deceased loved one's belonging might not be a solo activity for some of us. There could be multiple people involved and they might have different visions from you. They have different ideas on what to be kept or thrown away, or they might have different level of commitment to this process. Some might only want to be involved like once a week, others will be more eager like me and want to do this every single day. It's easy to have conflict along the way, regardless if you are tidying a deceased loved one possession or just decluttering the home in general. So don't judge each other too much. I know sometimes it's not easy when other people don't share your point of view, but don't say hurtful things like, why are you keeping this thing that is useless, or why do you do so little? This doesn't help the process. You only slow things down and affects everyone's mood. It's important to respect each other's differences. As mentioned at the start of the video, if you are interested in the Konmari method or the Swedish Death Cleaning, my affiliate links to their books can be found in the video description below. If you are dealing with grief and loss, please check out this video here.